What's up, guys? I'm Chef Elon.
And I'm Chef Tolan, and we're both the executive chefs for Madison and Park Hospitality Group, your premier destination for kosher catering. And this is Keeping It Kosher.
Today we're making cholent, a traditional Jewish stew that is typically made on the Sabbath, or before the Sabbath rather, to be enjoyed on Saturday morning.
The reason for that is because if you're new to kosher cuisine, it comes with a lot of rules.
Yes.
And if you know anything about the Sabbath, or Shabbat as we say it, you cannot use fire or light fire during the Sabbath. So this dish was created as a way to kind of mitigate that. What happens is you're allowed to start a flame before the sun goes down on the Sabbath, and you can keep it lit throughout. So this is a dish that was created in order to kind of, work around the rules. So,
Yes.
yeah.
It goes as far back as ancient Judea, where it was recorded that they would make a stew in a large pit, and throughout history, after the Jewish diaspora and Jewish populations, they settled in different countries, in different regions, they kind of adapted to their local climate and local produce, and they kind of added their own spin on things. So there are a few different versions of cholent that you can make. Some of them have potatoes, some of them have barley and beans, some of them have rice, some of them have chickpeas. We're gonna stick to the classic Ashkenazi version, which is beans, barley, no potatoes, onions, carrots, meat.
Yeah. Everybody thinks that their version is the right way, but no, this is the right way.
That's right.
Take it from us.
So, just to go over the ingredients very quickly, what we have here is we have some onions, we have some carrots, we have some dry-aged bone-in short ribs, and then right next to it we also have some regular short ribs without the bone. And you can use brisket, you can use chuck. Chuck is very commonly used.
Yeah, usually people use chuck or any kind of stew meat, but we wanted to be fancy pants today, so we got some dry-aged beef.
Yes, this is, I mean, you can't compare this to anything else. This is the best.
It's a little more expensive, but treat yourself. It's
Yes.
the Sabbath.
For the Sabbath, you should always have the best. I'm pretty sure my dad told us that.
It's true.
One of the greatest things about cholent is that, when you're growing up in a Jewish household, that the smell when you wake up on Saturday permeates throughout the entire house, and it's just unbelievable.
Yes.
Anyway, so going back, so we have our beans. We have an assortment of beans. We have pinto, red kidney, and white navy. We have some barley. Now, barley is going to be the main thickener. The beans are also going to thicken the dish, but the barley is really what gives it that thickness that we want. Then we have an assortment of spices, some bay leaf, garlic, chicken stock, and a little honey for sweetener. And that's it. It's really that simple. We're gonna throw everything into the pot, and then we're gonna just cook it overnight. So first we're gonna start with the onion. We're just gonna create a little base, and then we're gonna keep the root on. We're gonna the onion, take the first layer off. Yeah.
There you go. Kobe.
Very simply, we're just gonna do a very small dice. We're gonna make incisions, not cutting all the way to the end. Cut towards us.
Look at that knife work.
Thank you.
That's what culinary school pays for.
That's right. I mean, listen, you can get away with rough chopping everything. It doesn't have to be pretty. At the end of the day, it's just a stew. But for us, we want everything to cook uniformly, and that's why we have to cut precisely. Very simple.
Yeah. Don't stress about it too much, because at the end of the day, it's just all going in the pot.
That's right. 1 onion should be enough for this amount of meat. You don't want to overdo it because then the dish will become too sweet. You don't want to put too much carrots either because you don't want too much sweetness. But you want a little sweetness just to balance it out.
Yeah. Proportion everything to the amount of people in your family. If you have a Honda Odyssey, definitely use more onions.
Yes. Okay. Now, one of the important things, as I'll show you later, is first we're gonna add this, and we don't, because the short ribs have so much fat content and marbleization, we don't actually need oil for this. So we can just we don't have to worry about that. Some people would soak their beans first. Just mention that later. Now my brother is going to cut the carrots for us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I mean, if we were at home, I'd probably just make him do everything because that's what an older brother does.
He just sits there and makes his jokes. But he's extremely talented himself.
Oh, shucks, come on.
Beautiful. So for the carrots, we're gonna go for like a paisan cut, which is basically a small triangle.
Yes.
This is where we're going.
More fancy pants cutting that you learn at culinary school.
Yes, you can add celery as well. I don't like to use celery most of the time because it has, I don't know, it just imparts too much of its flavor and it's too intense. So I just like to keep it simple with onions, carrots, and the garlic. Garlic is probably the most important thing. One of the most important things in this dish. And again, it's a very fun dish to make because there's not a lot of work to it.
There is no limit to what you can put in it.
Yeah.
It's that's where the art comes in.
So now that we have the onions and carrots, we're gonna do a little garlic. I don't want my hands to smell like garlic, so I'm gonna put on a glove quickly.
Smart.
Thank
Real
you.
smart.
Yeah. You know, you cut garlic for 12 hours each day, and then you come home and it's impossible to get rid of.
It's hard to get a date like that too.
Yes, it is. That's right.
Every day when we come back from the kitchen, it's just like that kitchen smell that just doesn't go away no matter how hard you try to wash yourself.
There's nothing you can do.
Nothing you can do.
Life of a chef.
Life of a chef comes with a price.
Yes.
Beautiful.
I'm just crushing it to really release that oil. You can get a very, very garlicky taste. Some people put garlic powder in their cholent, and
Rookie move.
yeah, my
move.
dad would yell at us if we ever did such a thing. So always use the fresh.
Yeah. Garlic lasts a really long time, so you can keep it in your fridge for a while.
Yeah, but if you cut it and you're not going to use it for a while, just add a little olive oil to it so it doesn't oxidize. So now that we crushed it, we're just going to go over it.
Beautiful, once again.
And then we're going to hold the knife like this. We're just going to rock back and forth if you want to go faster. Now in school, you're supposed to cut it perfectly the first time, but we're not in school.
No, there's no French guy yelling at us.
Yes.
You call this chopping?
Okay, now you want to get it small because you kind of want the garlic and the onion and the carrot to disintegrate, which is what's going to happen. You're just going to throw it in, and you're going to notice later that it's just you're not even going to see it. Okay. Now, if you leave garlic on your knife, it's going to get sticky, so I'm just going to give it a quick rinse. Okay.
Beautiful. Now, when you're making a cholent, it's very important that, like Shrek, you layer everything. Okay. Once you put in your onions and your carrots and your garlic, give it a little shake, and then you want to start seasoning it.
Yes.
With salt.
So basically, every single layer that we put in, first the vegetables we're going to start with, we're going to add salt. Then we're going to put the meat in. We're going to add salt and all the spices. So right now, I'm gonna add some salt, black pepper. Okay. So here we have a mixture of smoked paprika and sweet paprika, because it's really important, you want both of those. Here we have allspice. Here we have a little Old Bay, just a little bit.
A little Old Bay.
Just a little Old Bay. You don't want to overdo it because it can be really powerful. We have some cumin here, and we have some cayenne pepper for heat. So you kind of want that balance of heat, saltiness, a little bit of sweet, which we're going to do with the honey, and that kind of mixture. And the paprika is really going to give it that beautiful color that you want. So Tolan, could you?
Sure can do.
Yeah, and you want to be a little bit aggressive with the spices, because well, that's cayenne, so that you don't want to be aggressive with. But with everything else, you want to be aggressive because you really want it to shine through.
Yeah. If you wake up in the morning and you can't smell all the spices coming through, you messed up.
That's right. Very good. Okay, so now we're gonna get to the meat. We're gonna start with the boneless short ribs. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna cut it into about like 1-inch cubes. We're gonna cut this in half.
Beautiful. And what if you're using the metric system?
I don't even know, man. I don't even pretend to know.
No. But it is the superior measurement.
Of course.
Of course. It would be too easy.
Yeah, we just had to make everything complicated, huh? So there's another version of this that my father actually makes with, it's just potatoes, onions, and meat. And that's very typical of the Eastern European style cholent, because they use potatoes in pretty much everything. Now this fat that you see here, if it's excessive, you want to get rid of it, some of it, but you don't want to get rid of all of it, because again, we're not using oil, and we want that fat, because fat just makes everything taste better.
Yeah, that's where the flavor comes from.
Yes, exactly. So we're just gonna...
Yeah, just want to throw that in. Like Kobe?
Be a little more gentle. I mean, it's dead already, but come on.
I know, it's a little disrespectful to the meat, but
Just a little bit. That's okay.
that brings out the flavor.
Yes, that's right. So here we have the bones, the bone-in short rib. And it's important that you have some kind of bone in this dish, because bone has a lot of flavor in it, and it's going to impart that flavor as it breaks down into the cholent. You can roast the bones prior to putting it in, but you don't need to do that.
You don't need to do that, yeah.
No. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the meat off the bone, but we're still using these bones. I just want to get that same size that we have. Look at that, wow. And again, you also want to smell your meat, make sure it smells good.
Thank you.
Always smell your meat.
Always.
Very important.
Always. And now the show's been canceled.
Very beautiful.
Good.
And now another layer of seasoning.
Just make it the muss.
I'll put a lot more. Yeah,
No, that was
Oh,
cayenne.
that was cayenne. Sorry.
Keep up.
More aggressive.
Keep up.
More. Yeah.
There we
There
go.
you go.
There we go.
Now you're making it rain. You always want to make it rain when you're cooking.
Just like that.
That's right. Actually, seasoning from high up is better because it distributes more evenly when you spice things. Sounds silly, but it's true. And black pepper. Okay, now we have our bay leaves. Don't want to overdo it on the bay leaf. Just 2 or 3 should do it. Just toss it in there.
Bay leaf brings out a lot of flavor in the dish.
It really does.
Unfortunately, in our family, we have some people with allergies, so that are allergic to bay leaf, so we can't use it.
That's right.
But I'm sure you don't have that problem.
Yes, bay leaf adds an incredible amount of depth into the dish. So we're gonna do, for this amount of beef, we're gonna do about half a cup of each bean. You don't wanna overdo it. Some people soak their beans overnight. Is that better? Not really. Doesn't really make...
Who's to say, really?
It really doesn't make a difference.
I mean, if you want to be a fancy pants and, you know, do it the right way, it's just going to take more time. And this dish already takes a very long time, so let's not make it take any longer.
It's 12 hours minimum. Minimum. Okay, so let's start with our... Actually, can you do this?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
So we're going to do about a half a cup of each bean, and then we're going to do about a half a cup and a little bit more of the barley. And this is pearled barley that we're using. Just cooks a lot better. More.
You don't have to be precise. My suggestion is always to use your feelings.
Yes. Yes, but precision in this dish, not that important.
No, not that important. This is just for you at home to follow along.
Where you do have to be precise, however, is the amount of liquid that you use. The liquid to meat and starch ratio, because that's really important. However, even if you mess it up, the ratio, you can just open the lid and reduce the liquid until the desired texture. Okay, so now we have that.
Another layer?
Another layer. A little bit less this time on everything. Well, you know something is delicious if it smells good before it's even cooked. Black pepper. Okay, yeah, a little bit of honey.
A little bit of honey just to give it a little bit of sweetness.
Yeah, the sweetness is really just gonna balance everything out between the heat and the saltiness. Really, not much. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. And now we're gonna add our liquid. So we have chicken stock here. You can use water. We're gonna do we're gonna do chicken stock and water. So we're gonna have that mixture, but you can use just water, you can use just chicken stock, you can use red wine. That's already a different dish. That's more like a bourguignon, but
yeah,
you can use anything really. That's the fun part. But water and chicken stock are probably the best options. Okay. So now, shake it up, and we're just gonna add a little bit of water. Okay, so we added a little bit of water, and guess what? We're gonna have to add another layer of spice.
Oh, beautiful. Here you go.
Thank you.
Some salt. Just throw in more seasoning. A little more Old Bay, just because I like it. If you've ever been down to the Chesapeake Bay, that's what they're good at.
Okay, we're gonna give this a little mix.
Nice, using a measuring spoon to stir. I like it.
This is how we do it in the old country.
Yeah, use what you got.
And that's it. That's all there is to it. We're gonna cover it, bring it up to a boil.
Yeah.
And leave it up, and then reduce the heat and cook it overnight.
If you're lucky enough to have an electric stove, that's perfect. If not, throw it in the oven. And
250.
250. Leave it on overnight. Go catch up on your favorite Netflix show, have some wine, have a good night's rest, because that's very important, and then you wake up to a delicious, aromatic cholent. Now, if you've ever been to a Jewish person's home for dinner, or a bar mitzvah, or anything similar to that, you might have noticed a gray loaf sitting on the table with just a sliver of carrot on top, and thought to yourself, what is that gray matter sitting on the table, and why does it look so gross? That is what we call gefilte fish. If you ever tried it, you might actually know that it's delicious. The only problem is the aesthetic. So what we've decided to do is make it a gefilte fish croquette, infusing a little French cuisine with a little bit of Eastern European and making it something gorgeous.
That's right. Gefilte fish is one of the most divisive dishes amongst Jews because it's either you love it or you hate it. There's no in between. Do you love it, Tony?
You know, as a kid, I really I didn't even try it. But then, you know, like any good grandmother, she kind of just forced it down my gullet, and so I was like, oh, actually, that's not so bad.
It is not so bad. I think it's delicious personally. So let's get into it, shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay. So gefilte fish is made with primarily 4 or 5 different kinds of fish. Traditionally, it was made with pike and carp, which is a reddish kind of fish. In England, however, they would use cod because that was what was readily available to them. And I prefer to use cod and sometimes a combination of Chilean sea bass and maybe even some hake or fluke. Today we're using cod because I think it gives the best texture. So it's very simple, just the fish, a little bit of onions, a little bit of carrot, and then we're gonna egg wash it, cover it with breadcrumbs, and then we're gonna fry it. So let's get started. So first we have the fish. We're just I'm not gonna chop it too small, but we want to make it manageable for the food processors. We're gonna grind everything. Now the other thing about gefilte fish and why it was so popular is because it was actually originally a German dish, and then it became a Catholic dish. So the rabbis thought that serving fish of any kind on the Sabbath is good because it symbolizes fertility and a good start of the week. And there's another prohibition on the Sabbath, which is tearing apart bones from flesh, which you can't do, which is very interesting. So gefilte fish has to be perfectly smooth. You have to make sure that there are absolutely no bones inside of it.
That's true. We love our rules.
Yes, we do. Beautiful.
If you don't have a food processor, you should definitely get one.
Yes.
It saves a lot of time.
Indeed it does.
No fancy chopping here. Boom. Now, you can get gefilte fish already prepared from the store, but everything will taste better if you make it yourself.
Yes, that's right. Gefilte fish was originally made by taking the fish from the skin, then mashing it up, and then cooking it back in the skin. You'd wrap it back, tie it up, and then bake it. But that took forever, so American companies founded by Jewish businessmen, what they did was they created this frozen loaf that basically you would poach in liquid, and it would be ready, and it was very easy and very efficient, and you know, a lot of people do that to this day because making gefilte fish is a pain in the tuchus.
Sure is. The poaching is what gives it that distinct, disgusting color that makes it look so bland.
Okay, now a little bit of salt.
A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, nothing fancy.
Yeah, very simple.
Very simple. You'll find in this series that most of our dishes are just based on simplicity because it doesn't need to be that fancy.
That's right.
Okay. And although the most important thing on the table, let's move this out so that people can see.
Yes. We're just gonna add a little bit of oil, just so it blends up nice and smoothly. You know what, Tom, do me a favor, take some of those breadcrumbs and put some in here as well. That's gonna help bind it a little bit.
Sure can do, brother. Here you go.
Thank you very much. And now for the fun part, 1 egg. We have to check if it's kosher.
So in kosher cooking, there's a thing where you cannot eat blood. So you have to constantly check each egg individually to make sure that there's no blood inside. And as we've just found out, that one has a little bit of blood in it, so we cannot eat it.
You gotta throw it out.
So you gotta throw it all away. And this is why you do it one by one, because as I've learned many times in our business, that if you, let's say you have to crack like 5 eggs and you've cracked 4 already and the 5th one has blood, you're gonna have to throw the whole thing away. And that's not only a waste of ingredients, but a waste of money. So don't worry, got another egg for you right here, brother.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Let's try this again.
Oh, how we looking?
Nope, also not kosher.
We got another bad one. Throw it out.
I don't know what's going on today.
It's okay. I got another egg for you.
Thank you.
And?
Yeah, we're good.
And it's all kosher. It's all kosher here. I'll throw that away for you. Boom, throw that baby in.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous. Good, good, good. Boom.
Yeah, grab a spatula.
Spatula.
Yeah, so we can push everything down.
There we go. Periodically open it up. Just push everything back down to closer to the blades.
Yes.
Get a nice smell of fish and carrot. Mmm.
Smells good, actually. I think that's enough.
Good, looks ready. Yeah, give it a little whiff. Delish.
Okay. Can you grab me a bowl?
Here we go. Just gonna throw that into a bowl. Stand over here, help your brother out. Always important to help your brother.
Yes, always help your fellow Jew using a spatula because there should be no waste here.
Beautiful. There you have it, nice and fine.
Okay, now because cod is a very, very wet fish, you want to use some paper towels just to get rid of some of that excess moisture.
Because it's going to be fried, if it's too wet, then it's going to fall apart as you're frying it. So, although it might be a waste of paper towel, it's very important to the cooking process. So, we got our flour, we got our egg wash, we got our breadcrumbs.
Yes. The secret to this is keep one hand wet, one hand dry. He's gonna be my wet hand, and I'm gonna be the dry hand.
Oh boy.
About this size. Croquettes.
You want it to be about the size of a golf ball, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just gonna coat it with flour. Cholent is my wet hand.
I just feel like we shouldn't be saying wet hand.
This is funny.
There we go.
Yeah. Toss it in.
Nice round shape.
Yeah, and then you want to drown it in the breadcrumbs. And I'm talking like really get in there.
Yeah. Make sure you cover the whole entire surface.
Yeah. Then you just want to shape it.
Beautiful. Those are some beautiful dry hands you got there.
Thank you.
Going on
Just
there.
to make it a little more round, gonna turn.
So this is essentially how you want it to look. Now we're just gonna make a couple more and then throw it right into the fryer.
Yeah.
Now we have 3 gefilte fish croquettes ready to go, and now we're just gonna throw it into the deep fryer. Here we go.
Okay, let's do this.
Beautiful. You see what he did there? Gently drop it down.
So you want the oil to be hot, but not crazy hot, because you want the interior to cook without burning the outsides.
Yeah, if it's too hot, the outside will cook fast, the inside will still be raw.
That's right. When you put these in, the temperature of the oil is going to decrease immediately after.
And what we're looking for here is a nice golden brown. So you just want to stay over here and just kind of play around with it, move them around. Beautiful. Now the oil's starting to boil, which means it is cooking. Beautiful. Now this doesn't take very long. This should take probably about a minute, 2 minutes, depending on how hot your oil is.
That sound is the moisture, the water evaporating.
Good.
And you have to watch these carefully because they can go from golden brown to black
Yeah.
very quickly.
In professional kitchens, they usually have a thermometer sitting in the oil to make sure that the temperature is, you know, where it needs to be, but who needs it? Use your feelings.
That's
Like
right.
a Jedi. Now, another rule to always remember, if you're frying